Dear listeners and viewers, I'm again with you, Professor Sheikh Iqbal from Bazm-e-Sheikh Iqbal, with the story of my life. I told you that how my life was spent in blindness in the early days of my life, and sometimes I recall, did I enjoy my infancy? Did I relish my childhood? Could I see the tints and hues of life? Perhaps I could, perhaps I couldn't. Much was left. So perhaps I enjoyed my infancy, my childhood, to the extent I could do without seeing things, by touching, by smelling, by feeling, and by other extra sensory activities. Thanks God, I thank God even then and thank God even now that life never pushed me to the corner. Despite all the difficulties, I never submitted to whatever was there. Odds were heavy, and by the grace of Almighty, I matriculated. And perhaps before me there were probably 3-4 blind persons who had taken their matriculation examination according to my knowledge. But I did it and did it in a miraculous manner, because in 1960 I was in school, Lahore, 4th class, and then I, with the strenuous efforts of my father and my own efforts, within a year or so, I took the matriculation examination. That was a gateway to knowledge. Now confidence developed, kept developing, but a challenge was there, because as a regular student, I never studied before in any school with the sighted people. When I was to get admission in intermediate, that was really a challenge, a highly adventurous challenge, because how my father felt that how would I fare. I thought that what would happen. I took admission in Government College, Johorabad in 1961. It was 1961. But if there is will, there is way. And I think if one portal of life is closed, so many portals are open, they are ajar before us. There are new vistas, new avenues. So I was on the road. I had found the road. I was heading towards my destination of self-confidence, self-containment, independence, and not banking upon others, not being a parasite. So in college, I started studying. I was very regular in the college. From Khushab, I had to go to Johorabad with a friend of mine by bus, and we walked on foot also around about 2 kilometers. But I never missed the college for 2 years, and it must be highly encouraging for me. I was highly delighted that I stood first in attendance. I was declared first in attendance in college in first year and second year. College was a new thing, but not for me, because most of the students over there were those who had been studying from my father, who was a teacher at Government High School, Khushab, and everybody appeared to be having a soft corner to me. Even all the teachers were so kind, so nice, class fellows so cooperative. We studied together in the college and at home, and I stopped cramming. I stopped learning by rote things. I and my friends, a few friends, Mr. Azmat, who has expired, probably who has died, and there were a few other friends. We read the books, and by reading the books, I could render that book into my own way, whatever the question was. So at intermediate level, cramming stopped. Vocabulary kept increasing. As I told you in my last conversation, that whichever book I read, I counted the words, how many new words were there in my mind. Of course, they say that no knowledge without college. It is an old adage, and I felt it on my pulse that it was so. Every day in that college, that was a very small college, just started a year before, but because of the staff and the principal, Mr. Manzar Hussain Kazmi, that was a big institution. There were debates, there were dramas, were all extracurricular activities, classes regular, teachers arduous, diligent, taking interest in the students. So I learned a lot from there, and I gained that confidence. And when the annual examination took place of that in college examination, I was awarded the Roll of Honor, and along with that, 6 first prizes in subjects of best attendance. So that was again a great boost, a great impetus, a great incentive. And I started forgetting that I had no eyes. I started feeling that I had life. I was feeling it on my pulses with the beat of my heart. So second year too, I worked day in and day out, read each and every book, time and again. I could write myself. And I must tell you, my listeners and viewers, at intermediate level, no doubt, still I'm here, and there may be mistakes. But even over there, when I was intermediate, if any teacher pointed out any grammatical mistake, some salient grammatical mistake, I started sweating and perspiring. How did it happen? I had no tuition from anywhere, but my father read to me the books. I heard that the lectures with all the attention, with all the devotion. Words from the teachers were coming, just words coming down from heaven to the earth. I felt them. Words were not words. I felt them just like gems. So in second year also, I got Roll of Honor and 5 or 6 other first prizes. I stood first in English, in history, Islamic studies, and probably Urdu also. I took interest in Urdu also when I was in intermediate. There was a competition which was held over there. I never knew about that competition in English as well as in Urdu. A friend of mine came and said, would you take part in that competition? I offhand went over there and see how God helps. I stood first in essay writing in Urdu as well as in English. This is all divine blessing. This is all the result of sweating and perspiration. This is all the result of parental love and affection. This is the result of devotion and dedication. So Johorabad proved to be a great asset, and it showed me a destination towards my future. The college was up to intermediate. What to do? Where to go? My father, who had a vision, real vision, of making him something, of helping me out of the pitiable condition in which the blind were. He was seeing with his eyes. I was hearing with my ears how people talked, the people who lost their sight. how did they react towards that? So my father had already constructed 2-3 rooms house in satellite town Sargodha, 736A satellite town Sargodha. Sargodha is a place from Lahore, westward from Lahore to Sargodha, 200 kilometers probably. It is westward from Lahore. So we shifted to Sargodha, and I got admission in Government College, Sargodha, which is now the university, well-known university. In third year, I took, to begin with, Islamic studies, literature, English literature, and history. History then was the subject which we wrote in English. But then the idea came that why shouldn't I take literature, English literature? And I said, no, Islamic studies I took, history I took, English was compulsory, but English literature, that was supposed to be a very difficult one. We went to the principal, Sarvar was his name. He was astounded and he said to me, Father, you are a teacher, don't you know that a blind boy, you are asking him to study English literature at this level? It would be so difficult for him. He said, and I quote, I'm not placing him in difficulties. He is placing me in difficulties because of his aptitude, because of his craving, his weltering passion to do something. So I was allowed to have English literature, and I fared well. After 2 or 3 months, that the same principal lauded and patted me that I did well in literature. So in intermediate and at degree level, I always took part in debates, in speeches, and other extracurricular activities. That developed my confidence. And then there were so many friends of mine. In those days, there were not many strikes, but we never went on a strike. We sat in the lawn in the college or somewhere in the home and studied together. Because studying within, studying without, studying here, studying there, everywhere. And that gave me a light. That gave me a spirit. And at that level, even I developed a love, an infinite love for literature. When we studied Macbeth, Shakespeare's play, As You Like It, and the poems, 8 poets, there were 8 poets, Wordsworth, Shelley, Keats, Byron, Browning, Tennyson, so on and so forth. I read each and every line, never went to the cramming side or to the notes. I prepared my own notes, and that helped me in talking English and writing English. I could write English fluently and without any hesitation. After, when BA examination, I took BA examination, I took first division in BA. But then there was the idea that I would be studying history, because history was the subject which was taught in that government college. But my father said, Iqbal, would you like to take a MA English? I said, Father, there's no MA English over here in our college. He said, it doesn't matter. As I shifted from Khushab to Sargodha, I'll shift from Sargodha to Faisalabad. What a great father he was. And although there were some, later on, some difficulties, parental difficulties, as generally in our Eastern society are, but I can never forget, if he were not there, I would not have been able to do anything at all. So we got shifted to Faisalabad. He was a teacher. He was transferred from Khushab to Sargodha. Then he was transferred from Sargodha to Faisalabad. So we kept shifting, but kept adjusting everywhere. I felt nothing odd anywhere, nothing eccentric anywhere. Friends were friendly. Teachers were teacher-like, so benevolent, so kind. At MA level also, I would mention Mr. M.M. Qureshi. I will mention Sayyidul Hassan Rizvi. They were my two. There were so many other teachers, but they were so especially so nice to me, and I got inspired by such teachers. And then the day came, I passed my master's in English, and the Pakistan Times, the English newspaper then was very popular, Pakistan Times, under the caption, "A blind gets second division in English." Then getting second division was an Herculean task. Nobody could think of second division at that time in English. I was fifth in the University of the Punjab. So that was a story of college, and the process of education continues, and I'll talk on that later on too. It is never stopped. It has never stopped. It would never stop. But so long as I breathe, I'll keep studying. I'll keep teaching. I'll keep learning. I'll keep knowing. Thank you very much.